Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We provide fan-oriented and analytic discussions on a variety of animated shows, movies, and anime, currently featuring Steven Universe, Gravity Falls, Miraculous Ladybug, and Ruby. I'm Dylan Hysen, and today I'm joined by Delaney Stovall.
Yep.
Today, Delaney and I will be discussing the latest episode of Miraculous Ladybug, the English dub of Miraculous Ladybug, the Evillustrator. We cover the English dub that airs on Nickelodeon every week here on the Overly Animated Podcast. And you can check that out at overlyanimated.com. As always, there are no spoilers for any episodes that have not aired in the United States here. Delaney and I have only seen the dub, and we only know what happens in the episodes that have aired in the dub. Although that is an increasingly large number compared to France and Korea. Although apparently the show is airing again in France. So let's get right into it. Of course, spoilers for the episodes that have aired in the US. Delaney, what did you think of the Evillustrator?
Well, it started off a little weirdly. Like, it was I don't know if it was the pacing or what. Like, it felt odd. And then the middle of but then it got better. And I think it was a pretty solid episode. Like, I enjoyed it. And then we finally got kind of like a Sabrina episode, which we're probably going to get her like as a villain soon.
Yeah.
So it was interesting. And then, of course, like the whole like Cat Noir and Marinette, and it was pretty interesting. There were some interesting character dynamics in this episode.
Yeah,
except no Alia. Hello.
There was Alia.
Well, there was a ship moment where Marinette tackled Alia.
Yeah. And then there was Alia interviewing Chloe for the Lady Blog.
Yeah, but like it's not enough Alia. I want all Alia.
We just had like the two biggest Alia episodes. We can chill for a minute. This one, yeah, at least here's the thing. Like, at least the show is it's not the same every week. Like, this episode changed the dynamics a lot. We had the villain thing happen like right away. I think that's what you meant by it started off weird, right? Like, we get him Akumaizing this random dude in like 1 minute into the show, and then he just like sits there and doesn't attack anyone for the entire episode. Yep. It's kind of weird. This is kind of pretty civilized villain.
Yeah, and they flip-flop like how usually the episodes are set up, and then
there's a lot more. It was like all the superhero stuff, and then like the non-superhero stuff afterwards.
And he wasn't really like a villain. Like he just wanted to take Marinette on the date. Like that's all he wanted to do.
I mean, we'll get into like whether he's like the nice guy. You know, I wonder.
Well, no, I mean, obviously there's issues with this, but like he just wanted to take her on a date. Like this is like.
I mean, he also wanted to attack Chloe. Like,
no, he sent like a spinning blade of death at her.
I think the biggest problem with this episode would be like what I just said, that if they're gonna make any sort of profound point about Nathan being just like a misguided quote unquote nice guy and like a feminist point, but I don't think they're really trying to make that. Like, I think that it's a little bit too surface level this episode.
Well, we don't like. Unlike other villains, we don't really have that moment afterwards of like what happened. Like,
yeah, that's true.
Changed back, and this was definitely a more Chloe and Sabrina centric episode, and that he was just like the device for it.
So yeah, there's a lot of Chloe and Sabrina stuff, right? And he's not that important. There's also stuff involving. This is also a big episode in terms of they explored the Marinette plus Cat Noir like angle of things. And this episode is like the first one where I understand why there's 4 different ships for those two.
Yeah.
Because like they actually interacted not as like school them or heroes them. So I think that was like a big deal. And I don't think this was like the best episode the show has had, but I think it's above average. And I appreciate that it was not boring to me. It's they're exploring different dynamics. It's like, okay, this time we'll explore Chloe and Sabrina, who we haven't really talked about that much, and we're going to talk about Cat Noir with Marinette, and we're going to have like the dynamics diverse and have someone crushing on Marinette, and like it's interesting. Also, we got like I think we had some plot movement at the end with Hawkmoth, who usually just
wants to take over the world.
Usually he spouts nonsense, but we actually got him to say, once I have them all in my grasp, I shall rule the world, he says. So, like, you have randomly inserted plot development. So that's good. It's like, okay, so does he have the other ones? That's my next question, right? Like, does he just not have these two?
I'm assuming that like he has like so we know there's like two other ones.
We assume from the opening
We
credits, yeah.
assume from the opening, but
Mhm.
like they exist kind of. Typically, you don't have something in the opening credits. Granted, you also can change opening credits, but so we can like a theory would be that he has the other two that we think exist, and then he wants all of them, so he just needs two more. So there's only like four in the world or something.
Yeah,
Granted, he could have more,
I hope
but
that's
I don't know why he need all of them.
I hope that he just needs these two, and then eventually he does get them, like in the season finale, and then we like actually
Yeah,
have something happening.
yeah,
Um,
like then we understand, and then of course that would also lead into like Marinette and Adrian figuring out that like like who they are.
yeah, that would be great. That would be a great finale. Oh, there's also some stuff with Tiki I found interesting in this episode.
Yes.
Plot wise. Also, she continues to be the the scariest thing in the show.
She's terrifying.
Listen to our past podcasts for info on that. So if I was gonna like write an article about the episode, it would be like, um, it's this episode is good because it is representative of how the show wants to explore everything within its limited realm. Like we stay the same every episode, and we have the same type of character dynamics and characters, and the show obviously is not. It's not so stale that it's only exploring.
It's not just Monster of the Week.
It's not just Monster of the Week, and it's not just Marinette and Adrian and Marinette crushing on Adrian, and then it's reversed when they're superheroes. We're doing different things. We're exploring everything to its fullest dynamic. But on the reverse side, this episode I think is frustrating to me because it is representative of the show's unwillingness yet to break from its limited scope. Um, I think that in the past I've kind of hinted at this on the podcast, but I'd like to officially like say that I am annoyed by the identity thing that's happening in the show, like the superhero identity. In the past, we've kind of like made fun of it, but I found it distracting in this episode. Them not knowing that each other is, is their superhero because it's becoming increasingly important to the plot, and I think it's just nonsensical.
Well, I would assume that we're getting like I can't imagine that it's like granted this is also just wishful thinking, but I would like to hope that before the season ends that we have this reveal.
And I agree, and I'll give them the benefit of the doubt that it's going to happen at some point. But like in the past, I've been like, okay, it's not the big deal. It's like, just they handle it kind of well, you know. Like again in this episode, like Marinette hides her tracks pretty cleverly. Like she says something that hints that she's not Ladybug when she's talking to Cat Noir. It's kind of clever. But I think that it's like officially distracting for me. Like I don't understand how no one realizes who they are, and like and the problem is they continue to base plots around predicated on the idea
Yeah.
that no one understands who they are. And I just I am officially annoyed by it. Like it's not so much that I need them to know who each other is already. It's just that I don't understand. The show hasn't. I gave this show a lot of time, and it has failed to convince me that no one would understand who they are. Like I understand, like, at least the show has internal consistency that no one ever understands who the superheroes are, and or the villains or anyone. Like when you put on a mask, you're hidden. And the show is consistent with that, but it doesn't mean it's not annoying. Like
I'm just not. I'm not as annoyed by it because the whole like this is how all superheroes function. So it's hard for me to get
yeah,
annoyed by it. Like this
there's a
is a
larger
well
argument.
established
There's a larger
thing.
argument to have that this is a big problem with superheroes in general. I don't really care about any of that. I think that if people were gonna like if we had as annoying commentators as on the Ruby ones, that's like what the response would be, right? Like this is
Yeah.
how all superheroes work, and but I don't care. Like there's nothing to do with this show. This is different, and I'm not saying this is a huge problem. Like overall, I enjoyed.
Well, I like to, it's not different. Like I understand that you're upset because like it's in universe and like all of the plots are predicated on the fact that like you should know who they are. But it's not different. They're superheroes and like this is just a well-established trope and it's just this is how superheroes function.
Yeah, and
And it is
that's
annoying.
the counter argument, and like I don't care, like that's the trope. I don't think that's an excuse. Like I understand, believe me, I do understand, but it's just not an excuse to me. And again, my main point, my main takeaway from the Evillustrator is that like the show is like more clever than I thought it was after the first three episodes, and it continues.
They've done it so well and that's why I don't think I'm annoyed by it because like Like, for example, like all I can think about with this is like the terrible Green Lantern movie and how it's like you think because I can't see your cheekbones, I don't know who you are. Unlike the Green Lantern movie, everything like despite how annoying it may be, they do it very well. And like they continue and they play off of it a lot. And yes, it's like, it's we're getting to the point where it's tiring, but like they continue to do it in different ways and they like keep it up. So I think they're just trying to go through the motions and like jump around until they're finally to the point where they're like, okay, they'll figure out who the other one is. And especially since we continue to have shots of Adrian like flashing his ring. Like in this episode, like you can see his ring like all the time when he's talking.
And
And
yeah, and I agree with everything you're saying, and that was my main reaction the past few episodes. And like this is like the fifth or sixth episode in a row where they've been really clever with everything that they're doing, and I still think that that's like the main takeaway. Um, but I think that it's like a valid reaction to be tired at this point, just because, and it's not because it's been worse lately. It's actually been better, like in their handling. It's just like I've seen 9 episodes now, and it's at the point where it's distracting. Um,
what's more annoying to me is the plot movement. Like the show is so clearly capable of like being more than it is.
that's interesting.
Like it's so clearly like we have such an interesting universe and we don't even know that much about it. And like it's so very like I feel like there's a lot here and there's so much more potential to not just be this episodic like everything gets wrapped up at the end. Even with this whole like mechanism of the Lucky Charm and how Marin and how Ladybug can do her thing, everything's fixed. Like there's just so much potential to have like a running arc that's more interesting than just like Hawkmoth making villains every week. And that's what's more frustrating. That's why I don't really care too much. Like, okay, they don't know who they are. Okay, that's annoying. But like, that's why it's because this show, like, there's so much potential here, and I really hope we get to this point where like we stop doing this. And,
Uh,
like, it's not just villains every week because I feel like there's just so much potential to have like a greater plot movement.
I have an interesting thing to talk about production wise in a second. So, yeah, what you're saying is really interesting. So, this is what my main takeaway has been. I'm kind of annoyed by the identities, um, but like within, I'm really impressed by how much the show is exploring within its limited realm. And you're saying that like the show has demonstrated a potential to an obvious potential to go outside its realm. So even though they're exploring things well within its realm, I'm annoyed that they've yet to go outside it because they're obviously capable. Like the show is
Yep.
clearly dangling this stuff. Like the show has dangled like mythological advancement in front of us through the Egyptian episode and this episode. They've like played with character dynamics to like one of the fullest extents, and I think that's a really interesting reaction to just be like, okay, like let's get on with it already. This is not like where I want the show to be.
Like it's almost there. It's kind of like the beginning. Like it's like Avatar. The early, granted, Avatar is amazing, and the early Avatar, like it was kind of like okay, we're having these adventures, and you have episodes where like not a lot gets done, but it's fun and it's fine, and like they do stuff, and like kind of like Avatar's a travel log and that kind of thing. And but then of course you get further, and then you have like things like then you get to Zuko's character arc in book two, and it's like oh my god, this show is incredible. The things they're doing, like we're almost there. Like Ladybug is just so close to just, and it's so clear that they have like this universe and this capability. Like I'm just so amazed with the character interactions. Like this isn't just okay. Oh my god, Marinette has a crush on Adrian, but like they're both superheroes and they work together, and she doesn't like Cat Noir, and oh my god, and they stop a villain every week. Like we have super interesting character dynamics, and like Alia, who like at the on the onset of us watching the show, we're like, okay, they're just gonna put Alia and Nino together. She's just like the best friend. No, Alia's great and like super developed at this point, and it's incredible. Like we're just so close to like I didn't even imagine like we started watching the show. I'm like, okay, this is cute. Everyone on Tumblr's obsessed with it. We'll watch it and see what happens. But no, like there's actually some depth to the show, and if they could just go a little bit more, just a little bit farther, it'd be so great. Like it has so much more potential than just being like an annoying like. I mean, obviously it wasn't like made for Nick, but like it's so much more potential than just being like this like Nickelodeon show that's just like whatever every week. It's
Now,
so frustrating.
so what you're saying is super interesting. Now, I'm kind of neutral on what you're saying, but I'm going to play the devil's advocate here because I think there's a clear counter argument to what you're saying. Is that why is this show supposed to be more than what it is? Because I think that Avatar was always a show that was going somewhere. It was always a show that was not just self-contained each episode. Um, it's an interesting comparison, like because the beginning of season one of Avatar, like up until they get like to like the seventh episode of that show, is different than afterwards. Like before, you have like this is what we're gonna do. There's an ultimate goal, but it's always like going somewhere. This show, I agree that it clearly has potential that it could be a continuous show instead of an episodic one, but it's never said that it's going to. So like,
Right.
does it need to be?
It doesn't. I will say it doesn't. I do appreciate the show for what it is because there are so many shows like this. This episodic. Okay, we're gonna solve problem. Scooby Doo. We're gonna solve the issue right now, and it's gonna be fine. But like I do think the show operates wonderfully as is, and I've been interested every episode. I mean, there's been a few here and they're like, but they're like they do very interesting things with this very kind of stale format. And you're right, it doesn't. Like it doesn't have to. I just want like I just want it to go. It's like Gravity Falls. Gravity Falls season 1 and Gravity Falls season 2 are two different shows. Completely two different shows. And I could see this happening with this show because Gravity Falls went from being Monster of the Week to like this incredible story that it is now. And of course I love Gravity Falls as Monster of the Week. Like Gravity Falls is great. But I don't know. I do see a lot of parallels between like Gravity Falls and early Avatar and Ladybug and they do keep hinting at this movement. Like they drop things in these episodes, which is also interesting because as far as we know, they air the episodes out of order on Nickelodeon, but then like things seem to make sense. So I don't really know how that works.
We're basically back in order now, by the way. Nick has been very consistent with the last few episodes. I think Gravity Falls is I don't know how much time on it. Like, I think this is more interesting than our usual conversation about the show. So I'm going to probably just keep going with this. But, like, we're not actually talking about the episode. That's okay. Like, I think Gravity Falls is a better comparison. Because you're right. It was basically self-contained in season 1, and then it shifts into a plot advancement show. And, like, the interesting thing is I like Gravity Falls season 1 better, like clearly than like what we did in season 2. That being said, so here's my big question with Ladybug, right? Based on what you're saying, because every week we come on and we're like, oh, this episode was good, I liked it, and like in part that's because we want to enjoy the product that's on the air, and like we want to, and we're like, we're also podcasting for fans of the show, right? So we're not gonna like be like we hate it, and we don't hate it.
No,
but
I love this show.
Here's the
thing. That's why we watch it.
Here's the thing: are you satisfied with the 9 episodes that we've gotten of this show? It seems like the answer is no.
No, that's
because satisfied is different from enjoyment. You can enjoy something and still not be like satisfied.
I don't know. I will say like the past few Alia episodes have been like incredible. Like never would have expected anything like that from the show. Especially on the onset, we were just like, okay, we're gonna watch it. We finished the first episode and we were like, what? Okay, we're gonna keep watching. It's cute. It's okay. I
like, so let's go over this because there's 9 episodes. I think we've had like 5 that are genuinely very good.
Yes.
Like Stormy Weather, I think was genuinely very good. Bubbler wasn't that great. I think Copycat was not as good. Timebreaker is extremely good. Pigeon was not that great. Lady Wi-Fi was incredible. Pharaoh was incredible. But did we see Roger Cop yet?
No.
What if was this? Oh, was this 8, not 9? And then I think this episode was in the top tier camp. Like I don't know. I think I liked it a little more than you, but I don't know. So
no, I like this. The thing is, this episode started off and I didn't like it, but then like at the end, I was like, okay, this was a good episode. I was just a little like off put in like the first like 3 minutes.
So it's like I don't know. I feel like you're arguing that you're like unsatisfied with the current state of the show. Now, here's the next question. Do you need it to change? Are you like, okay, I'm unsatisfied, I need it to change now? Or are you like, okay, it better shift by the end of the season? I feel like
I don't like
maybe you're more the latter.
I mean, it's probably closer to the latter. It's not really like I'm gonna watch the show no matter what. Like I like this show, I like the characters, I want to see where we're going. And it's also very interesting to have this episodic format and how it works. Like I mean, we typically, when you have a show like this, is space like this format's like Scooby Doo. Everything gets wrapped up at the end of the episode. Everything's fixed. But they do a lot more. They're very interesting things. in this show, and like the episodes are different. Like, yes, it's the same format every time, but the episodes are distinct and they're very interesting. They have incredible character moments, and I do think I am interested to see how like where we're going because they continue to drop these hints. So I'm like, are we going to get an episode that like just everything like explodes, or is it just going to be still like these hints, and these hints and hints, and then at some point we'll have a moment where everything comes together and clicks, but it's still in the same format. Like I don't really know where we're going, and I'm intrigued. But
We need to very briefly have the debate of episodic versus continuous narrative.
yeah,
Um,
which I do. There are merits to both. I don't think one's better than the other. It's just like I don't know what we're doing right now.
I think
And I'm not,
you might be arguing that continuous is inherently better than episodic. I think that's a little close to what you're arguing.
well, it depends on how you do it. That's my thing. That's I don't know if Ladybug might do it. They might be going
Is Ladybug doing the episodic format to the best of its
well.
capabilities?
That's what I think, and I do think at this moment they are. Like it's
So why does it need to improve then if they're equal? I mean, again, I'm just playing devil's advocate to what you're saying. Like,
I mean, it's just I just don't know what's going on. That's the thing, and well, we do have to think about this in context of all the shows we watch. Rick and Morty episodic, like that's we have except towards the end where we have a few of the episodes where they hint to other episodes, and then of course the season two finale that of Rick and Morty was like oh my
Rick
god.
and Morty's a great point. That is an episodic show that is narratively incredible. So you don't need to have a continuous narrative to have great narrative, I think.
You don't,
So,
but
but I think we would both agree that the show's narrative is nowhere close to Rick and Morty.
exactly. And
So
that's
this
the
show
thing.
is not doing the episodic format to the highest extent of its capabilities. Then is our conclusion.
Probably.
I think that's true, which is interesting because I was basically just arguing that it was before, but I think you
And then
convinced me
also,
otherwise.
and then talking about other shows we watch, like Avatar and Korra and Gravity Falls. Well, not season one, Gravity Falls. We have these very narratively heavy shows, and that's how we typically discuss our shows. So this is an interesting case because Ladybug right now, at least as it's airing on Nick, because we haven't seen like we don't know, we haven't seen like how it's meant to be watched. We haven't seen it in French, we haven't seen it in Korean. Like we don't know. We've only seen.
I think we can have this discussion predicated on us our viewing experience being the way it's supposed to be watched. I see
No,
the episode order is very close. Like it's
what's
close
the, no,
enough.
that's yeah. I'm just saying that like Ladybug straddles the line between what we want, I'll air quotes, children's television and animation to be, and what we don't want it to be. Because there's a lot of children's television out there that is like, this is stupid and like this has no value in it at all. It's just entertainment, which that's fine. That's what everything should be. And that's totally a fine thing. But then we cover shows that are, Steven Universe that progressive and deals with social issues and talks about really interesting things, and they do interesting things that you don't just have to have like a gag reel for like 30 minutes to entertain some kids. Like you can watch like some depth and like still Avatar and Korra, like you can have animated shows that have some depth to them. Ladybug's on the line between like Nickelodeon's usual fare and then what we have right now.
I completely agree with that, and I agree with you framing the overall thing in a different context of episodic versus continuous. But there's things to talk about with both. You're right though. This is like a really good quote unquote kid show, but I don't think it's surpassed that yet.
Yeah, that's what my thing. That's really my thing. It's not necessarily episodic. I want Ladybug to be Avatar. Like I want Ladybug to reach that point where it's a kid show, but it's not a kid show.
Kid show is like a really dumb distinction, and I don't agree. But like we can use it because people normally use it. But like it's super unintelligent. But like
I don't like saying that. But like
it's like Steven Universe. I'd never call that a kid show like ever, right?
Right.
Like yeah, it's that's like it sounds like an insult on the show's intelligence. Like I don't feel like Ladybug has that same amount of intelligence to it yet, right?
Right.
Um,
like this isn't Power Rangers, but Ladybug isn't quite Steven Universe.
But also, it's only 9 or 8 episodes. Steven Universe was not at that point at 8 episodes, right? So it's unfair to make that comparison. So give it time. Like I agree, it could get there. Now, last thing before we briefly talk about the episode before we end. Is I think we both want the show to have a continuous narrative. Like I think we both think it would be better, but just
this universe that they have established, like I think that's how it would function. It would function very well.
But it's like, yeah, I think it would be better. But like the show has never promised this. Gravity. Here's the thing: Gravity Falls, like it was episodic in season one, but we always knew it was eventually not going to be. Like that, the show had mysteries that it promised it was going to solve. This show, I don't think, has made any promises that it will be more than it is right now.
Right.
So it's like, is this unfair of us to like assume that the finale is going to be this huge event where like Hawkmoth gets the Miraculouses, we learn Hawkmoth's identity, Ladybug and Cat Noir like learn their identities, and like the show changes. Like I feel like that's is that like unfair of us, because that might just not be what the show is.
Well, I don't think it's necessarily unfair because I'm not, and it's not the same as Gravity Falls and these mysteries they've promised to solve, but they continue to focus and have the plot predicate on their identities. And we continue to have these very, very close calls. And the entire function of their powers, that you use the Lucky Charm or you use Cataclysm and the countdown begins. Like, they have implemented these things that I feel like naturally at some point this has to happen. Like, logically. Like,
that's a great counterpoint to what I'm saying. Like, I'm saying the show has made no promises. You're saying the show is making a promise by continually teasing us with the identities, and I agree with that. Like,
and just the mechanism of the show,
and just
like,
the mechanisms with the
works.
run out of like food. You're completely right. Yeah, I didn't even think of that. Like the show, I think the show is making a promise by. Do you think Okay, why Hawkmoth? Why Hawkmoth?
So like, even if you're gonna want, like, even if we're gonna say like, okay, this is like Scooby-Doo, except Scooby-Doo, they have the villain and they wrap it up at the end of the episode, and there's not typically a big bad in Scooby-Doo because it's Scooby-Doo. But we have Hawkmoth. We know what he wants. Like, he wants the Miraculouses, and he's never really close. Like, we know at the end of the day he's not going to get the Miraculouses. But like, so then we had today where it's like, I'm going to get them all, and I'm going to rule the world. So Hawkmoth keeps trying. Like, this isn't, I don't know. To me, Hawkmoth isn't like Doofenshmirtz from like Phineas and Ferb. Like, I think Hawkmoth is going to succeed at some point. Like, I don't know, he's more like, we have this villain. He's not like a lame villain. Like, he's not like this loser. Like, we don't like laugh at Hawkmoth. We just don't understand what he's doing. And also like the whole idea that like we have to have Ladybug. She's like, Ladybug has existed for, thousands of years, and like she's here to like protect against things like Hawkmoth. I feel like at some point he has to succeed, especially if implied by this episode he already has Kwame.
That second argument's more convincing than the first part. So your point is that, like, much like so you convinced me that the show has made promises that we'll eventually have the identities revealed. Okay, you convinced me on that. I'm more skeptical to the show making promises that Hawkmoth has to be more than he is until that last part. Like, the show is teasing larger mythological reveals, so maybe that's the show saying that eventually we're going to go somewhere with Hawkmoth. I can buy that.
Right.
I'm
not like, I would really like, because if we have this show and we're like in season, I don't know, 4, and we still have Hawkmoth, like, that's going to be like really irritating.
Shows function that way though. Like, there's a lot of shows that function that way.
They do. And that's what I'm concerned about.
I'm less convinced that the show is clearly going somewhere with Hawkmoth. Like, I don't like, the thing is that they just reuse the same Hawkmoth animation every episode. Like, I'm not sold that they want to do more with him than they are, except for like these 2 mythology reveals that we've had, right? Like, that's a little interesting. So
like, I didn't really care about Hawkmoth at all until today, because this episode, you said they recycle animation. There was different animation today. Like, we had a longer moment with Hawkmoth.
We did have a longer moment, yeah.
And as in kind of, when we don't know, like, this is just like a line, but like as implied by his line today of, I'll have them all and I will rule the world. And kind of what we're trying to figure out from the theme song, that there are other Kwame and that he has them and he needs these 2, that maybe he will succeed if he's gotten them before, and these are just the last 2 he needs, that maybe we'll have a moment where he gets, Cat Noir.
And you can replace succeed in this conversation with like interact more directly with our heroes, right? Like, just something more than he's doing right now. He doesn't necessarily
need to. The thing though is, like, today, like, that was really weird. Like, I mean, today, like, it really gave me pause about like his interact. Like, I don't know, like, there's been a tonal shift with Hawkmoth of this episode. Granted, I don't really know and we'll have to see. We've had literally the same Hawk Moth animations for like 8 episodes.
Yeah. Okay.
But
Let's.
today,
Yeah, it was a little different
yeah,
today. I don't think it's like super different though.
no, I don't think it's not necessarily like super significant, but just the fact that like he might have other ones. So I feel like that there's potential that he could succeed at one point, and then like we have like some movement.
Okay, let's close out this high level discussion. So I think that what we've arrived at is at first I said I don't think the show will ever be. I think there's a possibility the show is never more than what it is now. And then you countered with the show's making promises about the identity reveals, and I think that's true. So that's a really interesting place to end up. The Hawkmoth thing, I'm like halfway on that. Like I think that I need to see more from them.
He's the
Um,
one I'm less like sure on, which is what gives me real concern.
I also think like you could also just have other villains and stuff, but like
Yeah, we could have just have other villains.
but yeah, I'm less convinced that the show is promising to go places with Hawkmoth. So I do think the show is going to be something different than what it is, and I also think the show, as what it is now, is like fun, but not a super high level critical quality. So
Right. Yeah.
I think it's reasonable for us to like see the potential and be like, okay, like maybe if has a continuous plot, then we'll like achieve deeper narrative. Maybe that's what's holding it back. I don't think it's inherently what's holding it back, but maybe
Yeah.
that's what it is. So I think it is reasonable of us to like want a continuous plot. Okay, good.
Like I feel like it's like the show has like it's not it's almost it's almost a little too big for the space it's in, if that makes sense.
It
Like
does. It's
it's
one
kind
of
of like
those. It's one of those shows that I feel like it's just potential. Like I think a lot of this is a potential argument. Like it's like we saw the first episode of Moonbeam City, and we're like, okay, this can be a Rick and Morty level show, but it's not yet. And I feel like
yeah,
that's a little bit what this is. This could be closer to Steven Universe, but it's clearly not yet.
right.
So there's a lot there. Let us know what you think
But
of all of this.
yeah.
Like, and I
And
know
we
that.
like the show, and that's why we care. We
Yeah, of
like the
course.
show.
Yeah.
We want to like we care.
And you can like the show and still want it to be more, right? So, and of course, a lot of you have seen more episodes than we have, but I also don't think the show has shifted yet, but I'm not sure. I don't know spoilers. So,
And of course,
kind of let
that's
me,
the whole interesting. We had the 13, like they stopped at 13, and now they're airing episodes again. Like maybe,
yeah, now we've had 15 in France. So
yeah,
let us know what you thought. Please comment on this. I'm very interested to see what other people think. Let's 5 minutes. Let's go through the specifics of
without
the episode.
spoilers. Don't
Without
spoil
spoilers.
us.
Yeah, if you want to like vaguely hint at something, that's fine, but don't explicitly spoil. Like one of you, I said, maybe we'll see more from Alia before that Alia's a Villain episode aired, and then someone reblogged it and was like, our podcast on Tumblr was like, well, you'll be happy coming up if that Alia's a villain. I'm like, okay, facepalm. Like, I'm
Yeah,
glad
like
you didn't see that, but yeah, okay.
Granted, we also, I mean, granted, we were like, okay, Sabrina's gonna be a villain. We were like, Ollie's gonna be a villain, but like, don't spoil
We
us.
don't actually know. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we
So
don't know.
okay, very briefly, let's run through the actual contents of the episode. We had that dream in the beginning with Lady Wi-Fi, stormy
That
weather.
confused me for a minute, but that was good.
This episode, okay, the interesting thing, very briefly, is the production code of this episode is 102. Yet we see Lady Wi-Fi in it, who is from a later episode. So I believe that either this was supposed to be hinting at a later villain, but why would they spoil that Alia was a villain? I think this confirms that the production codes don't match up with the intended airing order. So they're basically meaningless. But they did produce this episode.
Well,
second.
that's pretty good though for shipping. Like Marinette fantasizing her best friend as a villain. I don't know what that's about.
Dude, that's a big, yeah, we had the big Alia. Well, let me run through my outline. Yeah, the concept of Nathan crushing on Marinette. I mean, I don't like when they have random people, but
Yeah.
I mean, I guess this is a dumb thing. I don't like that I think this, but I did have the thought that this is kind of satisfying because Marinette's pretty, and like someone crushing on her as opposed to her crushing on someone is like a little bit satisfying logically.
I agree.
I don't like that line of thought, but
No, I don't either.
but like I did have it. I don't. It's a problematic line of thought, but whatever.
Well, I mean, it's slightly better than like having like a guy crush on a girl is like slightly better than the girl crushing on the guy and like being a complete idiot the entire time.
Yeah.
But by that same token, he's the villain, and that's why he's the villain, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like this entire like how all the context of this episode is super irritating.
Yeah, and we're not gonna have time to talk too much in depth. Let's keep going. The friend Hawkmoth's like, I'm a friend and patron of the arts. That was kind of interesting.
so obnoxious.
I don't know. Yeah.
God.
You're the best tackle with the Alia and Marinette. There's your shipping moment. I mean that's not Mar Alia did not win the day, but there's
I
a
think it's
moment.
all Yanette.
Alia
I was reading fan fiction the other day, and I'm trying to remember what the ship name was. I'm officially in too deep. I've been reading fan fiction.
I think Marinette asked what's her Sabrina, is that how you two work about the doing homework thing? What do you think of them going there again briefly, but like we didn't actually know that Sabrina just did Chloe's homework and stuff like that, and they went for like that kind of tropey thing.
I mean, like, it's irritating, but then it's also weird because Sabrina, like, decides that's how she wants to live her life. I'm like, okay, Sabrina,
yeah,
that's what
like
you want.
Sabrina's attitude's kind of interesting. It's like it's an irritating tropey plot, but like I love how they went with it, and like Marinette becomes Chloe. Like I think that was interesting.
Yeah.
Like
also, like, it was so obviously what was going to happen because let's be honest, Marinette's flaky, and of course, it's not her fault. She's Ladybug, like she's a superhero.
It doesn't make sense
but,
how she has time for as much as she does already, so I buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, BFFs over. That's not how BFFs work, I think, said Marinette, which is good.
No, because she has the best BFF.
Yeah, true. Marinette would know how BFFs work. I'd rather have no friends than be friends with you.
Brutal, savage.
Yeah, so savage.
Yeah.
I'll see you at the library, bestie says. Oh yeah, and then Sabrina just shifts very quickly to Marinette, right? Like that was very
Sabrina
fast.
is like in love with Marinette all
It's
of a
like,
sudden.
I think it shows that Sabrina's not that attached to Chloe, even though she just like likes the role, right? I guess, but
yeah, like she just likes being that friend.
We have a bunch of puns. I got wind that you were blown away by a hairy situation with the hair dryer. That was like double pun in a sentence. So good job, Cat Noir. Oh yeah, and then this episode's so weird because then they just like they stay as their identities even though they're not fighting, and they're just like there, like with Chloe protecting her. Yeah. And Chloe like, yes, Ladybug said I'm adorable. I like Chloe like.
The selfies were cracking me up.
Chloe's best attribute is that she's a Ladybug fan, definitely.
Yes, definitely. And the Ladybug's like, no.
And then she's like, Ladybug, text me. Yeah.
That was really great. It's still not as good as her being in the costume, but.
Oh, we're going way over intended time, but there's Tiki. I mentioned this earlier. The interesting Tiki moments were that Tiki doesn't want to be seen by anyone. Like we knew that, but like she doesn't. There's two moments. She doesn't want to be seen by Nathan, the villain, which I guess makes sense because Hawkmoth can see through Nathan.
Yeah.
But she also didn't want to be seen by Cat later. Cat Noir.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was interesting. Why?
I mean, I would assume it's because, like, it would reveal her identity.
So Plog does not know where she is.
I would assume
or
not.
Is it because or maybe it's just because it would reveal. But I guess Kat would see. But like, wasn't she okay? Maybe she was Adrian, or maybe she was Marinette at the time.
Well, I thought in that scene when she like popped up, that was Marinette being like, "Stop."
Okay.
Like Marinette closed.
Yeah, I think maybe I'm off on this. I think maybe it was just that she didn't want Marinette's identity to be revealed to Adrian. Like I want to rewatch them and make sure she wasn't hiding from Plog, because I think that her and Plog's relationship could be interesting.
Well, like the two super interesting things with one is with Hawkmoth, the other was with Tiki. Is like at the end of the episode, Tiki's like, you just blathered on about like, I don't know, like she said something. It was like, does Tiki know? Oh, then I'm like, Tiki doesn't know. But then it's like, I don't know if they were just playing. I can't remember the
Tiki
exact
doesn't
line,
know about what?
Like, because does Tiki know that Adrian is Cat Noir?
Yeah. I wonder how much. That's my question. Is like, are Tiki?
Because there was that line at the end of the episode, and I was like, are they just playing off this like that they don't know their identities, LOL, or does Tiki know?
Yeah, there's two questions I have. Is Tiki hiding from Plog? Like, do they communicate? And also, is Tiki hiding from Hawkmoth? And it's like, yes, but like, does Hawkmoth know who Tiki is? Like, maybe Hawkmoth doesn't know where Tiki is, but does Hawkmoth know who Tiki is? That's my question.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, he keeps saying that he wants Kwame. He wants the Miraculouses. Does he understand that, like, because theoretically, if I don't know, like Tiki could technically, like, let's say he gets the Miraculouses just as time runs out, and Tiki's gone. He just has her earrings. He has the Miraculous, but he doesn't have Tiki. So like, what does he want? Like, does he know how it works? Because you would think he'd be like, I want
Yeah.
their
I mean,
Kwame.
I don't know how the mythology
Like,
works, but yeah. So I feel like I need to have a better understanding of the mythology to
but
like,
also Hawkmoth controls them, and I mean like he physically controls them. Like he did that whole like hurting Nathan's hand thing, which like that freaked me out.
yeah, no,
Are they like
that's an
puppets?
interesting dynamic to explore too, is what is the extent of Hawkmoth's powers. And I think we've questioned that before too.
And like clearly he can like he this isn't just he gives them powers and like kind of guides them. Like he's like physically controlling them, which explains why they have no memory of what's happened afterwards.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's kind of, that's a later discussion to have. Let's keep going. We have Marinette makes him promise not to hurt Chloe, and then he'll go on a date with her. Yeah, the easily pacified villain. We talked about that.
Yeah.
Um,
Marinette handles this like A plus.
yeah. Chloe with Cat Noir. Cat Noir, are you any good at particle physics? Like that line's just absurd. Like, why are they doing
Yeah.
particle physics in high school? Like,
Yeah, like
it's an
what?
absurd. That's an absurd line. Make it sound perfect. See what I did there? I made a cat joke. I can be funny, says
Uh-huh.
Chloe. I like Chloe being self-aware. Like that's really good.
Yeah,
I can be
it's
funny.
really great.
Need to protect this girl instead. Really cute, isn't she? So this was the identity part that's like, I'm like, what the heck? Like Marinette sends like the thing to yeah, it's so dumb to Cat Noir like picture and he's like really cute, isn't she? Oh my goodness. Like what's up?
Also, this episode just highlights how useless Cat Noir is.
Cat, we'll get to that in a second. Okay. I have a response to this. So yeah, Marinette knew Chloe just this once. You know who else using that excuse all the time, don't you? Yeah. Cat is introduced to Marinette. The big this uses are big. I don't remember what their ship name is. There's four ship names. This seems to be the one
Yeah,
people ship though. Like this one is like this is the one I've seen a lot of fan art of is
which
Cat Noir and
doesn't
Marinette.
shock me.
This to me
Which
is the
doesn't
most
shock me.
this to me is the most problematic version of the four combinations. This is the one I would the least ship.
Well, it's like this. Well, it's the ridiculously heteronormative
This
version
is
of the ship.
this is the heteronormative one. This is the Kylo Ren and Rey of the four,
Yeah,
right? Yeah, it's the
like
one. It's like the guys
no.
into yeah.
In context, Cat Noir has never like tortured. You
Yeah,
know,
no, it's not that problematic. But
right?
like, it's that type. I'm not saying you shouldn't ship it. If you ship it, that's fine. But like, this is heteronormative. Like, let's be real. It's the
Yeah,
guy who likes the
super.
girl and the girl doesn't like him back. It's dumb. Um,
And like Cat Noir is a superhero, even though he's useless.
again, let's get to that in a second. But like, yeah, the cat like kisses Marinette's hands, and then they just have this like, okay, I want to praise the animation for a second. Whenever we have like flirty stuff between either some combination of Marinette and Cat, and like all of them, they have like a really interesting like logic to their movements and stuff. I don't know. I have
Yeah,
hard trouble articulating that, but like whenever like Marinette
I
like
know what you're talking about,
whenever
but
like
it's neat.
Marinette like rebuffs him, like it's I'm always like kind of impressed by how they're able to animate that.
Yeah, it's great. Like they do a like this show is like it's. I mean, it's kind of a weird animation style, but it works. Like it's great.
Yeah, I think we don't praise the animation enough. Yeah. Um,
Like because this is a fun show just to watch. Like just from a visual standpoint, it's great.
you get to be my ladybug, says Cat Noir to
Oh my
Marinette, right?
god, I rolled my eyes so hard. I was like, I can't do
And then
this.
this is the part I like that Marinette keeps up the act. Like this line is then she like rolls her eyes at the camera and then like clearly puts on an act like me and Cat Noir are fighting crime together. What will I do? Like this is why I love Marinette. Just this episode.
Stares into the camera like she's on The Office. like really, I have to deal with this right now.
It is really great though. Like
It was
that
really funny when she turned around and was like, had her hand up and was like talking. It was really funny.
that might have been my favorite line of the episode. That was really good. I mean Marinette's the best, obviously.
Yes.
They're on their date thing with Nathan, Nathaniel, whatever. Can't draw in the dark. I'm so stupid. I actually thought you liked me. And then he's like, okay. And then we get like one line of like, okay, maybe we're making a comment on like feminism and stuff, right? It's like Chloe, she's always teasing me, mocking me, leading me on. Right. Like it's if the show is really trying to make like a nice guy, quote unquote, like commentary, then I feel like they should have had more than this one line. As it is, I don't think it's like deep at all.
Well, the thing is, we've talked about this before with the villains. Like, in some of the episodes, it's like, okay, they're talking about how this is bad. You shouldn't let your emotions like get a hold of you because that's how Hawkmoth like
Yeah.
takes control of you. But by the same token, Hawkmoth especially in this episode, it's revealed that like Hawkmoth can physically control them. So then, like, does it even count? Like, does it even matter if if it's not even you? Like, it's Hawkmoth.
Interesting parallels discussion between this and Steven Universe and what their commentary is on emotions versus logic. Like the recent stuff in Steven Universe. Not for discussion for right now. Why is everyone comparing me to Chloe? I love that Marinette's reaction to that isn't like to get pissed at it. She's like, why is everyone comparing me to Chloe? Like, okay, that's interesting. Why? That's good. Will be trapped if I hadn't told him how to do his job. Oh yeah, Marinette like suggests the poll thing. It's true. Okay? He's incompetent. What has it done to? Oh yeah, that Chloe's monologue about the excuses because of my hair, stuff like that. There's Nathan says Chloe's the real baddie, which I thought was kind of self-aware of the show. Yeah. Okay, so here's the part where Cat Noir's incompetent. Why does he need to use Cataclysm to turn off a light switch? Did you understand that?
No, I didn't think he was using Cataclysm, which is why. No, I was like, crap.
Didn't he say Didn't he? They go into the typical like the reused animation for that, and then it's like Cataclysm, and then
I could be misremembering, but I just thought he was going to turn the light switch off, and the only reason I knew he was doing Cataclysm because he punched the wall.
Either way, he's incompetent, right? Like
he's an idiot. Like, what a waste of Cataclysm. Which I'm assuming he just did it to have like the time go down because like then he was like hanging there. Was like, crap, I'm gonna change back.
Instead of 30 minutes on like a high level discussion on this show, we should have just had 30 minutes of making fun of Cat Noir. Like, I feel like that would have been better.
I agree.
Ladybug,
this so useless.
Ladybug, this cat doesn't have 9 lives, even though like in the past he's like said he has 9 lives, right? So interesting.
Also, he can't even like do Ladybug does all the work. Now this explains perfectly why they only have statues of Ladybug and people only care about Ladybug. Like, this makes sense.
It makes sense. Yeah, I agree. No one really cares about it. Even Chloe is like, everyone's just a fangirl of Ladybug. Yeah.
Well, he can't even de-evilize the Akuma. Like, he can't do it.
He doesn't even do that. You're right. Yeah, you pointed that out last time, and that I was like, oh, that's true. Marinette gets the Lucky Charms for a bouncy ball, whatever, it works. They pound it.
LOL, the bouncy ball.
I don't like. I'm a little tired of Lucky Charm just instantly solving every problem. Like if it solves every problem once, you just use it in the beginning. Wait till the last second and then do it. A little bit annoyed at that, but it's not a big deal.
I would like to see like an episode where like they solve it without Lucky Charm.
Yeah. Because again, my first reaction to Lucky Charm, we talked about this on the podcast, was like, is this Marinette figuring out how to use it herself, or is this just the powers telling her? Because I want Marinette to like, it's more satisfying to us if Marinette is like the.
This episode proves how competent Marinette is.
She's she's just on top of everything. I agree.
Yeah.
We said that once I have them on my grasp, I should rule the world. Yeah, and we'll get into that more later. Not this podcast, later. Alia interviewing Chloe at the end. Back to normal. Adrian heard about adventures with Cat Noir. He goes up to Adrian is a dork. like
for real.
People I see people just like very obsessed with Adrian. He's like a dork. Come on.
Well, everyone's like, he's like super suave and like, no,
he's not. He's not.
Dorkiest. Have you seen? I mean, Cat Noir, like all he does is make cat puns. Like, he's like the lamest. Like, he's a dork. It's great.
Dream. Oh, we finally see.
Yeah.
Nick plays this line every 5 seconds, like advertising the show.
Always.
It's a dream. You're a dream. You're a dream, right? Like that thing, which is admittedly like probably one of Marinette's English voice actresses. I don't know her name off the top of my head. Best line reads. Like, I think she does this very well. And I wonder how. This is the type of thing that you wonder, like how they dubbed it versus how it is in French and Korean, right? Because do they have the same uses of the word dream? I'll probably go and watch to see like if that's the same. I could see them having the same, because like our word dream like has multiple meanings, but it's not going to correlate to other languages, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I thought that was it's a good line. It's like it's interesting that there's this side to Marinette like contrasted with her super competent side, right? Like I like Marinette as just like a real like teenage girl. Like she's allowed to like crush on a guy like this and still be smart, right? Like I feel like we understate like just how much of a realistic portrayal that is of a teenage girl that we don't get in other shows, who are either like typically like you either have like the nerdy girl or like the one who just obsesses over guys and is like not smart, right?
Right.
I kind of really love that about her.
Yeah, she's confident and like she's sarcastic and
Yeah.
like sassy.
Yeah.
And
Like
she's
and she's still nice and like she's everything, right? Like,
she's an actual person.
she's yeah, I know. I really think her characterization is great. I do.
Like,
it's
like I'm lit. Like, I mean, today I was like literally Marinette. Like my day has been like I'm Marinette. Like I've just been like socially awkward all day today. Like, God.
I mean, I know who Alia is, but yeah.
Oh God.
Okay, so what did you?
Escapades.
What did you think about Cat Noir? Oh yeah, we already did that. Yeah, no. What did you think about Cat Noir? Was he awesome? Not as awesome as you. Oh yeah, Marinette still being like this. It's just so absurd. Just like her not knowing. She's so smart. How did she not know this? Ugh. He touched my shoulder. I'll never wash my shoulder again.
That was fun.
Never wash my jacket again. Did she said? I think so. Yeah. Better.
And then Tiki is just like
he's like, you should have better control of your emotions, which is an interesting line. We need to discuss that more, like about Tiki. And then I loved the last shot. Like they do the like resolution shot, which is really cool. And this it was like a Ladybug comic drawn by the guy. Which I'll make the image for this podcast. Yeah, it was awesome. Okay. Overall, yeah, no. Again, once going back over it again, I'm more convinced that this is like one of the better ones. Let us know what you thought of our high-level discussion. Also, what you thought of this episode. There's a lot there. Last comments, Delaney, on the Evillustrator.
Okay, I've been saying the Evillustrator. That's what I think.
It's a made-up word. It's Evillustrator, though. Yeah. Like he says.
Why is it Evillustrator?
He says it. He says it.
Isn't it spelled Evillustrator though?
Yeah, no, I don't think the way they said it in the show works with its spelling, but they said Evillustrator, yeah.
Well, I don't like it. I think Evillustrator sounds stupid. That's my last.
Well, you know what else I think is stupid is de-evilize, but they do that too. So
de-evilize so dumb.
De-evilize is the dumbest thing. Like I'm.
It physically came me to say it a minute ago. I was like, I hate this word.
Yeah, no, like the show's mythology for the most part is like whatever, but like de-evilize is like it's just embarrassing. Okay.
It is embarrassing. Agree.
Okay. I'm Dylan Nice, and that's Delaney Stovall, overlyanimated.com. Please leave us a comment there or on the YouTube comments or on Tumblr. Send us asks. I do want to know what you think of our discussion on this. Like, I think we had some super interesting stuff happening. Very happy with that discussion, Delaney. It's like every once in a while we just go super deep on a show instead of actually talking about it, you know.
Dylan and I are super high theory, like on everything.
It's good. I mean, I think that's a thing people like about the podcast. You can support us if you did like it. Consider supporting us at patreon.com/overlyanimated. There's also a link from overlyanimated.com. Yeah, we need your support. Thank you to our current patrons, Shayna, Mitch, Cordell, Beatrice, Nate, Andy, Jamie, Rachel. Hey, nephew, Mitch, Cordell, University of Beatrice, James, Buzz Lightyear, Mailman, Rachel Rose. I feel like I should be doing more of a pitch for the Patreon. The general pitch is that there's no ads on here. I have no revenue except for the Patreon. Like, so that's how you'd support us if you're going to support us.
You too can have a nickname.
Yeah, but like also this is just like the only way that we would make money is this. Like I don't have ads. And that's not because I'm opposed to that. I like the Patreon structure better, but like I would probably put an ad in the beginning of the podcast if someone offered, but that has not happened yet. So the thing on FTSW is different. Like that's like a sign up thing. It's like a partnership as opposed to like an ad specifically put on. I don't know. It's podcast advertising revenue is weird. We'll be back next week covering. Next week is Dark Cupid. Okay, interesting. Wait, is that next week or are they taking a week off? No. Next week is Roger Cop and then Dark Cupid. Okay, there we go. Oh, no Dark Cupid yet. Sad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but
Is it Roger Cop?
Roger Cop, yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
I assume there's a character named Roger.
Probably.
Okay.
A cop.
Thanks for listening, guys. Longest Ladybug podcast for sure. Hooray.
You're welcome.
You're welcome, exactly. Yeah, we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.